You have got to wake up, because if you are not understanding that the environment is going to dictate your success, it's going to dictate your happiness, then you're not going to get to where you want to be for yourself, for your kids, for your family, and for your friends. And welcome back to the It Takes Grit podcast. I'm talking about something incredibly close to my heart this week. I have never ever spoken about this publicly. I have maybe spoken about it to a few close people that I know, but this is a big deal for me. This is very big. So if you could see my living room right now, I have my dogs very close to me. They're like my emotional support dogs, so they're gonna help me go through this. I'm probably not gonna move Alfie because he's gonna growl at me, but Penny is resting her head right in my crotch, and actually that doesn't look very good for YouTube. So I'm gonna move you, honey. So we are gonna be talking about changing your environment. And I know that there are so many people that I meet on a daily basis that are not reaching their full potential because they are not surrounded by the right people. And that really scares me, and that really frightens me to know that there's people out there, and I was one of them, who are never gonna be all that they can be just because the people that they're hanging around with aren't the right people. And they're not the people that are empowering them and getting them fired up. So if you are thinking right now, like, I think I can be more, I think there's something else for me, but I don't know how to get it because I'm just surrounded by negativity or people that don't really fire me up, I'm gonna give you some amazing action plan steps, yes, that I use to change where I am today. So you're gonna have fun with this. We're gonna have a great time together today on the podcast. I got the dogs in the house as well. And so let's just dive straight in. Like, let's just get straight to this. So I'm going to share a few things about my life and where I've been in a negative environment, and maybe you'll relate to some of these, maybe you'll relate to none of them, but I feel like there's some really good stuff in here. So let's get started from when I was like 16, 18 years old, and I'm doing my A-levels. So that's in England, in Europe, you have A-levels. I'm at school. I'm really focused on my school, to be honest. I'm really focused on getting really great grades. And I was being bullied, like severely bullied. And I touched about this on my very first podcast about when I got to this school and the girl had told everybody to bully me. And I was just in this environment where I was never going to excel, because all I would do is at lunch times, I wouldn't have lunch with anybody. I would just go in the library and I would study. And in two ways, it's like that was a great thing, and it was also like not a very nice thing to go through. So I decided that because I was being bullied and I didn't want to spend lunch with people, I just went to the library and started working, and I absolutely aced my grades. So if you're at a place right now where you're being bullied or there's negative environment at you at school, just focus on like getting great grades. Just focus on getting like such great grades and spending your time in the library. So I decided I would take myself away from those bullies. I didn't go to lunch. I took myself away. So that, I feel like at an early age, I'm telling myself, right, well, if people are mean to you, like, just don't hang around with them. And so I would take myself off to the library. And the next stage of my life, I decided that I was going to move to London because I didn't like the environment of where I was growing up. It wasn't London. It was a very small town. Things weren't really happening. And I decided that I needed to change my environment because I wasn't going to get where I wanted to be. So another great thing where I was like, okay, if I'm in a town where it's not happening, I need to move. So if you're thinking right now, I feel stuck, like I don't really not like where I live, move. Just move, right? So I did, I went up to London. Then I kind of got a little bit stuck. So I did really good about taking myself out of bad environments or negative environments or things that weren't empowering me. And then I moved to London. and I got involved in all sorts of crazy stuff. A lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, and I just found myself wrapped up in this cycle because I was young and I was having fun. Definitely it was not good for me. So you might find the areas in your life where you're like, oh, I'm having like such a great time, like we're going out, we're partying, but you're like, take a look inside and be like, is this good for me? Like, am I being a productive person to society? Am I helping people? I was not. And I look back now and I wish that I had somebody who would just kind of like reach their hand into me and pull me out and be like, there is more for you. Because I didn't have self-love and I didn't think much of myself, and I would go out all the time, drugs, drinking, partying, hanging out with people that were not empowering, and I was just in this vicious cycle. And I believe that I would have still been in that situation had that huge, you know, area of my life where the whole paper and the newspaper and we sued the newspaper, all that stuff that I speak about in the first episode, if that hadn't happened, I don't know that I would have got out of that. So sometimes it takes you waking up and realizing, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be here. And sometimes it takes something so catastrophic that it pulls you out. And you need to be so grateful for that. Because at the time, I was so mad. I was like, no, like I've lost my jobs, I've lost my friends because of all of this stuff that happened. But really, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. So sometimes you're going to be in an environment where you need to check yourself. So I encourage you and I ask you to look at yourself today, to look at yourself inwards and ask yourself, are you in the right environment? Are you being the best version of yourself? Are you wasting your life? Because I look back and I was. I mean, the amount of times that I have not been able to sleep because I've been up doing drugs and then felt like crap the next day. And what a waste. Like, oh, I feel so sad like talking about it, because I just hope that there's not somebody else going through what I went through, and there wasn't somebody to hold my hand and to reach out to me and to tell me it's gonna be okay and you don't have to live like this. Because I was lost and I was just in this vicious cycle. And I'm just sharing this story. It's not about me, and I want you guys to understand, like, this is about you. So take a look at where you are right now and just look inwards and be like, is this where I'm meant to be? Like, am I giving everything it is? Because I didn't have that. I didn't listen to personal development. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know any of this stuff. So I was just going around in this circle, and I definitely wasn't reaching my full potential. So sometimes it takes something massive happening for you to start to look inwards. And then I moved to America. And I took this big leap, and I got there, and guess what? The drinking and the drugs followed me to America, because it wasn't that, it was me. I hadn't changed. I hadn't really changed my environment myself. Something else had changed it for me. And really what I've learned is it has to be you. So funny story was off, I guess I laugh about it now, but when I first got to America, within 24 hours, I was out in Hollywood. I'd met this girl on Facebook, we went in a party bus, and we went up to Hollywood. Now, England and America have very different words for things. We call things rubbish, Americans call it trash. We call it the boots, they call it the trunk. There's so many different words. Also, when it comes to drugs, there's different words. So the first thing that this girl asked me is, do you roll? And I had no idea what that meant. And I was like, yeah, totally. And what she meant was ecstasy. I didn't do ecstasy. I've only ever done it like once or twice before. I didn't do it that night. But it was interesting that I was like, wow, I thought that I got out of this environment. I'm coming to America to get my commercial pilot's license. And here I am, back in the same freaking situation, out partying. And somebody, the first thing that they ask me is, do you roll? And then you find out that there's different words for cocaine, and you're just trying to like get this lingo, and it's like, how have I basically come to a new country and I'm being fed the same information, it's just a different word. It's like, we used to call it gear. You get to America and it's called blow. And I'm like, this is the same thing, it's just a different word. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're like, I just got out of it and now I'm in the same thing. It happens a lot in relationships. If you've been in a relationship that's not good for you and it's toxic and you haven't had fun and it's led you to sadness, and then you go and find someone exactly the same. So I just encourage you to really find the pattern. And I'm going to go through some action steps, and I want you to grab a pen and paper. If you're listening to this in the car, no problem, like afterwards, write this stuff down, because we're going to go through some action steps on how you can actually change this environment. I just want to show you, like, I've been there, and I've been in that place where I'm stuck. So the last thing I want to share with you, which, like I said at the beginning, there was something really huge that I've never spoken about before. And I think it just comes with a lot of shame and embarrassment and the fear of what other people are gonna think. Oh my goodness. It's like, but I feel so happy in myself, and I feel so strong, and I feel so certain, because I'm finally becoming the person that I wanted to be. And I want to share this with you guys because I feel it's gonna help. And if I can be the example for somebody else who's feeling like they're not worth something, or they're not valuing themselves, or maybe they have gone through something and they're ashamed of it, I want to tell you, like, don't be ashamed. So when I got to America, I met somebody, and we were in a relationship for almost 4 years. And the whole relationship was like, at the beginning it was great, and then it got very volatile. And we did a lot of drugs together. I mean, 3 times a week, like, which is just like insane to me to like look back about the lifestyle that I had, because I'm so, I want to tell my younger self, like, I'm disappointed in you, like, you can do better than that. But I needed to go through that to be the example for other people. So that's how I've accepted it. And if other people are looking in and you're looking down on me for things that I've gone through, honestly, I don't care. I don't care, because I'm just speaking to the people who might be going through something similar and need help. I don't care about other people's opinions and like people who are talking about me behind my back, you know, even people that I know. And I know there's going to be people in my circle or my outer circle that are going to be like, I can't believe she spoke about it like that. I can't believe she did that. Honestly, I've got to a point where I just don't care about your opinion. I care about helping people and making an impact. And if I went through something like that and I can make a difference and I can change, I want to give that to other people. So we were in this relationship. I was abusive to myself. The arguments were very volatile. There was never any violence, but I was violent to myself. I would hit my head against the door. I would scratch myself. I would take it out on myself because I couldn't control what was happening inside of me. And the environment that I was in and the friendship groups that we were in was all based around going out and drinking. Like, nobody had proper, like, some of our friends didn't even have like proper, like, didn't have jobs. Like, that's what we did. And it came to a point where I actually was in this relationship, and I have a visa in America, and my visa was expiring, and we decided that we would get married. And I've never told anybody this outside of social media. And I know a lot of you, if you've been following me for a few years, like 5 years, you know that I once got engaged. And I put that all out on my social media. But what you don't know is that we were actually married. And we had a very, very small ceremony. Like, it was, like 6 people there. It was very small. And it was more so for me to be able to stay in the country. And I think everything was very circumstantial. And we ended up being married for about 6 months total. But after about 4 months, I realized, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm so unhappy, and this is such a toxic environment for me to be in. And I had to make the decision to leave. And that also meant that I was going to lose my green card. And I was okay with that, because it was a bigger thing for me to get out of this relationship and to be who I really needed to be and to excel in all the areas that I wanted to. And I had to leave. And it was the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do. I was on my sofa rocking forwards and backwards for about 3 months, and I had to still keep my business going, and I still had clients to talk to. And so I would be crying, and then the video chat, the Zoom call would come on, and I'd be like, hi guys, how are you? Happy Wednesday, let's get going. And the same when I was doing my workouts. And I just feel like whatever you're going through, you have to limp through that pain. You have to limp through it, because you're gonna get through whatever is happening to you right now. Would you prefer to have a great life after it, or would you prefer to have nothing? And that's how I kept thinking. I'm like, I'm building a business right now. I have to keep going. I have to keep showing up, not just for myself, but for my family and for my clients and for my audience. And you guys honestly was like the biggest thing that kept me going, because I felt like I had a responsibility and a duty to keep on going. So if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through a loss of a family member, if you're going through a loss of a job, or you're just going through a sticky time, you are going to get through it, but you have to limp through that pain, and you have to keep on showing up, and you have to show up as your best, because you're gonna get through it. And why not have something amazing at the end? I was like, I'm gonna go through something so crappy. I'm gonna get over this relationship. It's tore my heart apart. But at the end of it, I wanna have something, because it's gonna be crappy anyway, so I may as well get through it and have something at the end. And that was my mentality the whole time, was like, I know I've got to break through out of this environment to be who I really wanna be. And I'm going to give you the action steps of how I did that, but I want you to understand that you are not alone. And you're going to go through times where you're like, I don't know if I can live anymore. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm going to be judged by people. And I cared so much about other people's opinions. And that's why, I mean, this is like 4 years ago, and I've never even spoken about the fact that I'm divorced. Yes, I'm a divorced person. Get over it. It does not define me. It does not define you. It doesn't matter if you are single, if you are married, if you are gay, if you are bisexual, if you are divorced or married. It does not matter. It doesn't define who you are. And people are gonna talk. And I know that I've got people, you know, it's in my influence circle, whatever, and they're never gonna say something to my face. They're just gonna talk about me behind my back. And I just got to a point where I'm like, yeah, that's gonna happen anyway. And I may as well be a vehicle of change for other people and lead by example and make an impact. Because impact to me in changing just one of your lives out there is so much more important than someone's opinion of me. And that's the same for you. It's just someone's opinion. And what people think of you is none of your business. It's not. And you're never going to be able to please everybody. So just be yourself. And I'm going to give you a few action steps now. So I got a little bit emotional there. My goodness, like, Does really talking about some deep stuff there. Whew, let's just take a deep breath. Let's just take a deep breath together, guys. I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to my dogs. Let's just breathe in. And let's breathe that out. Okay, so let's talk about how you guys can change your environment. First of all, I want you to write down, it is not easy. Having some great stuff in life is never easy. So, number one, you have to realize, this is the realization part. You have to realize that if you are not in a great environment, you are never going to live up to your full potential. And that's scary. You do not want that. You want to be in a place where you can live up to your full potential, because life is going to go past, and you want to be able to give the world everything that is possible. Have the biggest impact. Be happy. And honestly, you are not going to be happy as you can be with not having the best environment around you. So, first of all, I want you to write down What is happening in the environment that you're in? Now, you might be going, I've got a great environment. This is amazing. This is awesome. This is going to work for you as well. And you might want to just improve your environment a little bit and go, how can I take it to the next level? So I want you to write down everything that's happening in your environment. I want you to write a list of all the negative things. So it could be abuse, bullying, people being negative around you, people like not wanting to work out, being healthy. And then I want you to write down a list of all the positive things. So I have an amazing spouse who's very supportive. I have a best friend. Maybe in the negative things, you could put, I have a spouse that's not so supportive. Or I have a best friend that's not so supportive and puts me down every time I try and eat healthy. So write that whole list down. And then I want you to put a cross next to all of the negative things and a tick next to all of the positive things. And I want you to compare your list. And your list, you're always gonna have a few people around you, by the way. It's never gonna be perfect. I'm in a very great place right now, but there's always times where I find myself like, oh, like this environment isn't amazing for me. And that's fine. I'm gonna still participate, but I'm gonna distance myself, okay? So you need to look at your list and see, is it more positive or is it more negative? I would say if you're like 80% positive, 20% negative, you're doing good. Okay, that's pretty good. You're always gonna have a few family members or people say stuff to you, and you are gonna have to just shrug some of it off. It happens to me. So you're just gonna have to shrug it off. I've told people before about being divorced and haven't had the best reaction. So it's okay. It's gonna happen. So I'm gonna prepare you. This is great. I'm gonna prepare you for everything. But if your list is like 50-50, you need to have a conversation with yourself about how you want your life to go in 2019, 2020. Because ultimately, you have a choice. You have a choice of how you are. And if you have kids and you're at 50-50, you're also not being the best example for your children. If you don't have kids, you're also not being the best example for your friends, for your family. Because if you aren't 100% certain and content with who you are, and you're not in this amazing environment that's allowing you to blossom and to flourish, you're not gonna have an impact on other people, a positive impact. Maybe you're somebody who is the negative person. You're the person who is bullying people. You're the person who's putting somebody down. You've got to stop that, because that just comes from an insecurity inside of you. So let's get that list down. The second thing is I want you to write down what you want to achieve in this year. Now, last episode we did setting goals and getting rejection. So if you haven't already watched that, listen to that. Make sure you do, because it's going to help you kind of set the goals, how to set the goals and how to make sure that you're actually achieving them. So write down all those things that you want to achieve this year. And then lastly, on that realization part, is look at those two lists. Do you have right now the correct environment to achieve all of those goals? Now this is where the realization comes in. Because if you are sitting there right now and you are like, wow, like I have all of these goals, but my environment isn't right for me to be able to achieve them, this is a realization and a huge wake-up call. Yes, I'm talking to you. You have got to wake up. Because if you are not understanding that the environment is going to dictate your success, it's going to dictate your happiness, then you're not going to get to where you want to be for yourself, for your kids, for your family, and for your friends. So look at those lists. Are you going to be able to achieve everything that you want with who you have around me? So when I started my business, I was with somebody who wasn't like not supportive, but they weren't like supportive and they just didn't fire me up. And I knew that I needed to be around people that were like, oh my goodness, this is awesome, like this is so exciting. I need that. And even in, you know, relationships after that, I've always said, like, this is something that I need. So if your spouse or your partner or your friends, maybe they just don't have it in them to be like, yeah, like you did great, tell them. I've had to teach Corey what I need because he is incredibly calm and he is not emotional. I am emotional up and down. And when I say, hey, like, what did you think of my podcast? He goes, it was great. I'm like, it was great? It was what? I'm like, it was amazing. You were incredible. That's just what I need. And I do it the same with the people that work in my office. I always go, how was it? How was it? And they'd be like, yeah, it was good. It was good. And I started to be like, wow, like, do they not think I can do this? And now because I express to them that I need the recognition, I need you to be a cheerleader for me because it helps me mentally, they come up to me and they go, that was an amazing fit camp. And I'm like, yes, oh, thank you so much, thank you. And that's okay if you need that recognition. I know myself, and recognition is something that's one of my love languages. Is that I need that recognition, I need that fire, because it gets me excited to keep on going. So if you don't have that from someone right now, ask them. Just tell them, hey, like, can you just go a little bit higher pitched when you say well done? And if they're just not like that, and they're not supportive, and they're not excited for you, and they don't, you know, they're not your biggest cheerleader, then you need to have a conversation, because anybody who thinks that they can be super successful and reach an unbelievable level, and they reach their full potential by having a partner who is not on board with what they do, is never going to reach that place where they can be, and definitely not that very fast. So you need to have a serious conversation with the people that you are around to make sure that you are getting the support of what you need. So what do you do to change your environment? Again, not easy. Going through my divorce, rocking forwards and backwards on the sofa, crying. I remember I was completely broke. I had to break out of the lease that I was in because I couldn't afford the rent. It cost me like $4,000 to break it. I had no money. I had to fly back on Thanksgiving Day. I missed my flight. I was just lying on my bedroom floor. I think my wedding dress was next to me, and a sleeping bag, and Alfie, and the whole room was cleared out, the whole apartment. And I was like, I have hit rock bottom. I'm like, this is so depressing, and it's Thanksgiving, so no one could take me to the airport. It's super quiet, like nothing's going on. And I will never forget that day, and I'll never forget how I felt. And I just remember believing that, like, as long as I'm around positive people and I found my crew, I found a great environment, that I was going to be able to get through this. So you need to make a decision of what is more important to you, your happiness or keeping other people happy. Because I felt so terrible about asking for a divorce and breaking up this relationship. It tore me apart because I felt so bad for what I was asking for, because I was like, I should try and make it work, like I should like give it another shot, and like I knew it wasn't for me. I knew that this wasn't the right path, and so I had to choose my own happiness. And you have to do that too, because nobody else is in charge of your life. Nobody else is going to choose your happiness and be able to choose what you want. Nobody else knows that. So you need to decide what's more important for you. And number two, you need to find a group of people who are positive and that you love. I was always taught, only take advice from someone you would trade places with. And I love that, because I started to look for people. And when you start to put positive vibes out there, and you're starting to look for your crew, whether you go and join a new gym, whether you join a new community, whether you go and join an art club or whatever it is, when you start to do that and you start to surround yourself with incredible people that are on the same path as you, are on the same page mentally, and they're positive and excited, oh, it's like this biggest weight off your shoulder. You're like, I found my people. I found them. And that's really how I felt. And this one's gonna be hard, because I understand that loneliness is a big thing, and there's a lot of people out there that feel lonely. And I promise you, because when I broke off this marriage and I had this little group of friends, I had another group of friends in the company, in my nutrition company community that I'm part of. I had them. I didn't have any really close friends just yet because I just got started, but I didn't have any other people in America. I had nobody else in America. So breaking off this relationship, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be on my own. I'm gonna be on my own. And what I want you guys to know is that being on your own is so much better than being in an environment that is negative. I actually love now, I will spend a whole day by myself on the sofa with the dogs working, and I love my own company. And I'm a kind of a homebody, I like that. So you need to find the strength in you that you on your own is enough. That you don't need somebody else to make you complete. Because you are already complete just how you are. You don't understand how incredible that you are. And yes, it's tough when you go through breakups and you lose a friend and there's tragedies. But it's better to be on your own than in this negative environment, because you will flourish. You will achieve something. You will get so much stronger. You will have more ideas. You will be more creative by being on your own. So the next thing I want to talk about is, let's take a look. Oh God, my goodness. Alfie the dogs are asleep. They have like, Mum, you talk way too much, but no problem. Don't put yourself in an environment that you're gonna fail. Don't add yourself into a new environment where you know it's not gonna be good for you. These are steps, and they sound so simple, and I know they're not easy. And I promise you that if you follow these steps, you're gonna have such a great life because you're taking ownership. This is the big thing about changing your environment. It's ownership. And things that happen to you, kind of try and change your identity. Don't allow that to happen. And it's your choice. At the end of the day, I can sit here until I am blue in the face and tell you that you need to change your environment for things to happen, that it's going to be okay, and that you need to get out of this situation that you're in order to be the best version of you. But until you decide and you choose that you want the best life for you, there is nothing that I or anybody else can say to you. It has to come from you. And I have gone through things, like I said, living in London, the environment changed. I got to America, it followed me. And I don't think I was ready to change at that point because I didn't know of something else. I didn't know what else there was. And I'm so grateful now that I went through that and I'm able to share that with other people, because I'm telling you that there is something else, that you don't have to live this way anymore if you're feeling like you don't belong or you feel like you're not living up to your full potential. And if I could just get in your house and give you a big squeeze and tell you it's all gonna be okay, because it is, when you limp through your pain, when you keep showing up regardless, you are gonna be such an impactful person in your community and for your friends and family. So put your big girl shoes on, bring your chest up high, tell yourself in the morning, I can do this. Words of affirmation are so important. Changing your environment, realizing that you need to change your environment to be who you really are, and understanding that it's a choice. And knowing that you've got this community, even if we're just friends on social media, that's a better enough community. I'm your friend. It's better to be on your own and have me as your friend on social media with powerful, influential people that are in our community than it is to be in a negative environment. So thank you for allowing me to share some kind of big, I guess, very, very big things in my life. Really, that's pretty huge. So if you are going through some of the things that I went through, just know that you're not alone, and I'm here to support you. I'm having fun doing this podcast. It's kind of crazy let it all out. And I know for some people, maybe in my family or my friends, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. Trust me, it's way more uncomfortable for me. But I've decided to get over the fear of other people's opinions and what people think of me. Because ultimately I can't change that. I can't change my past. I can't change someone's, you know, what they think of what I did in the past opinion. Like that's totally their thing. And I'm just gonna have fun with this. I've just decided I'm gonna have fun with this podcast. I'm gonna be open and honest with you guys. And I feel like that's just the best way to build a stronger connection and relationship with you. So thanks for listening to the It Takes Grit podcast. Changing your environment. If you have any questions or you have anything that you want to share with me, please go and find me on social media. My Instagram is rebecca-louise fitness. I'm also on Facebook and I'm also on Pinterest, same handles, and then I do have a YouTube channel as well, which is Rebecca-Louise. So if you want to go and work out, you want to see some of my Wake Up Wednesday shorter 10-minute videos, then check them out. And I'm really excited. And if you are thinking about, you know, how can I take this year to the next level? I'd like to kind of get some, you know, more one-on-one coaching and really develop myself. We're doing a retreat this year in Bali. Last year, it was phenomenal. We went to Thailand. I'd never done a retreat before, and it was the most rewarding thing for everybody that was there. It was emotional. There was connection. It was just team building. People like transformed their lives. It was amazing. We work out, we go on excursions, we travel around Bali, we are eating healthy food, you get one-on-one time with me. I'm there the whole time, so you don't just like see me disappear off to my room. I am with you. We only have a limited number of spots, so if you are serious about, you know, really making a shift in your life and having something exciting to look forward to and getting a community in real life, then go to the website www.rebecca-louise.com. Click on retreat and you'll find all the details there. It's in September in 2019. I hope to see some of you guys there. I've built the best relationships with people that were there last year, and I'm excited to meet more of you coming up in this year. So again, thanks for listening for me today. I can't wait for next week already. We've got some great topics coming, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks everybody.